We are live streamed at the YouTube site located on the agenda. For those who are wishing to participate remotely, you can join the Zoom webinar. Certainly raise your electronic hand if you would like to participate. We did have a change to the agenda, what was originally published on Friday. So I just wanted to get quick approval from the select board. Because of that change, we were going to move the action item A up up to after the approval of board minutes. And this is done with the intent of going with the cooperation that Rockport showed our town manager who attended the meeting. So if it's okay to go ahead and move up the action item to authorize the town manager to enter into an interlocal agreement, cooperation agreement with the town of Rockport for shared police department shift coverage to after the approval of the board minutes.
Sure.
Any opposed? Nope. Super. Public comment on non-agenda items. Do we have? Thank you. Just please remember to state your name and where you live.
Jessica Wheeler, 16 Victoria. This is about open water swimmers and not having any sort of flotation devices or markers. I have a cottage on McGonagall and I see a lot of open water swimmers. I was one, I did the life flight swim 2 years in a row. We need to have some sort of rule or law or something that has them with a buoy that trails behind them. There was somebody swimming on Sunday that was way out in the middle of the lake. They swam from Cannon Lane all the way across the lake and back. Someone's going to get hurt. So just like paddleboarders have to have a life jacket on their board, people who dive in the ocean have to have a flag. Swimmers need some sort of markers or someone's going to get hurt. And that's pretty much about it. So I don't know who's in charge of that, who can get on that, but swimmers need to be safer. And a cap that is orange is not enough for boaters who are going by at top speeds.
Okay.
That's
Great.
it. Thank you.
Thank you.
Any other public comment on the non-agenda items? Okay. Seeing none, let's move on to the approval of the board minutes. And just as another note, we did add in, it was supposed to be as an estimation of about how much time the different items would take, just to give people an idea. It doesn't mean that we will be strictly holding to that, but it is just at least an idea and helping us plan, having an estimated time of the different items. Anyway, board minutes.
One item that I caught, line, it's 154, 155. The motion was actually to allow the harbor committee to decide which member was 1 year and which one was 3-year term.
Oh, yeah, because it says 1 and 1.
And what line is that?
154, 155.
Okay.
Any other changes or updates?
What was that?
154, 155, the notation to be that the harbor committee is the one who would decide on who gets the 1 year and who gets a 3-year term.
Sure.
Move to,
Yes. Go
oh,
ahead.
do you have a?
Yes, but go
Oh,
ahead. I'm still
no,
looking
go
for
ahead. I
it.
was going to make a motion to approve, but if you've got something else.
No, I was going to check the spelling on one of the people who spoke to us on line 178 or so. It might be corrected already. No, Bridget Quayle. His name is Bridget Quayle, not Quigley. Line 178 or so.
Good catch.
And Line 115, let me just make sure that that hasn't been corrected yet. We did vote on the Maine Municipal Association ballot, and that's not reflected in the minutes. It should be. We did vote for Carrie Lightman and Kara George to be the representatives. That's it. Thank you.
All right, Susan, you were about to
Oh, I
say,
was going to move to approve the minutes as amended.
yep, to amended to lines 154, 55, 178, and 115.
Second.
All those in favor? Any opposed? None? Passes 5-0. Super. Next on the agenda, we have a presentation from the Friends of Camden Hills State Park
Weren't
Group.
we going to do the?
I'm sorry, yes,
Do the
you're right.
action item?
Thank you very much. Let me read the fine print. Moving on to the action item, the act to authorize the delegated town manager to enter into an interlocal cooperation agreement with the town of Rockport for shared police department shift coverage.
Yeah, just briefly, before I call up the stars of the show, we're really excited that Camden and Rockport are going to be once again working together, the two police departments. Interim Police Chief Jim Greeley has been working with our very own Chief Alan Weaver to develop an interlocal cooperative agreement so that we can share shifts through the arches, around the arches, over the arches between Camden and Rockport. So we also have John Duke here, town manager for Rockport, joining them. So they have worked together to develop this cooperative agreement. Chief Weaver and I attended the Rockport Select Board meeting last night, and the Select Board overwhelmingly approved that agreement. It's pretty much what we were doing when Chief Gagne was here. So we just want to have it official and signed. And I'm going to ask the two chiefs to come up and give a little show, telling us what it is that they're actually doing.
So like Jody said, the moment I was an appointed chief, I've been talking to interim Chief Greeley about it previously, just because this is the direction we wanted to go. I've worked with, Rockport hand in hand for 23 years. We want to keep that relationship and we want to help each other out. The point of this agreement is to make that easier for us, to allow us to pull from Rockport officers when we have a shift to fill, to allow them to pull from us when they have a shift to fill. Right now, we're both in a much better staffing position than we have been in the past. We're doing okay, but there may come a time again where we need to help each other even more, and this agreement is going to allow that to happen much easier. If at some point in time in an emergency, a Camden officer needs to cover both Camden and Rockport, it'll allow them to do that. If at some point in time a Rockport officer needs to cover both Camden and Rockport, it'll allow them to do that. All Rockport officers are going to be sworn in Camden. All Camden officers are going to be sworn in Rockport, and it'll allow our officers to back up each other easier without having to call for mutual aid. If our officer hears Rockport get called to something, they can go over and help them out, and vice versa. And it's just going to make our jobs much easier.
Gotta say, thank you for letting me be here. And thank you for this agreement too and allowing us to present it. Certainly, I think us working together goes back quite a few years. I did graduate a couple of years before Chief Weaver did, but I'm looking forward to working with him and working with the department, and certainly being able to cross those lines like Jody was talking about. And I think it's a great opportunity for the two towns to work together again. Thank you.
Two things. One is, what impact does this have on the requirement for having a supervisor sergeant over two patrol officers? Does that mean that a sergeant of Camden can cover the patrol officers for Rockport? Or does that mean two sergeants on duty?
Well, Rockport has a sergeant that works through the middle of the week. I think as far as supervisory concerns are there, it would be responsible for each town to maintain the supervision of their individual officers. If, if a problem arose or if there were a question, I think it would be a matter of just leaning on the officers that are working around you and kind of navigating that problem together and figuring it out.
And it's the same thing now. If we don't have a sergeant on, if a sergeant takes a vacation day and a patrol officer fills that shift, if they have a question, they call the on-call sergeant that's off duty.
In the compensation section, how does that work? Whenever somebody from Rockport is filling a Camden shift,
So if it's an anticipated shift, so if we have a vacation shift that's open,
Mhm.
and we always offer it to Camden officers first. If no Camden officer wants it or is available, we would then offer it to Rockport, and they would just get paid the same overtime rate that they would working any other overtime. The only time that they would get compensated more than that would be in those emergency circumstances where they have to cover both towns. Now you're taking one officer and making him responsible for two towns, then they get compensated that extra premium rate. But on a regular filled shift, they would get paid overtime just like they would any other shift.
Right. And looking in that direction, what we're trying to craft is no matter what, you have 24/7 coverage. So you're paying for an officer. So in that premium coverage, what he's talking about, the Rockport officer getting his rate, say it's an emergency, the 6th shift happens in Camden. He's going to get his regular rate from Rockport, from the town of Rockport for working there. He'll also get his regular rate from Camden as well. So you're not paying an overtime cost to fill that shift.
okay, I think I understand. Are there any other questions?
I would actually just like in like
Can you
6
turn your
months.
mic on? It's best just to leave it on. That
Sorry.
way.
I would like in 6 months for you guys to come back and say, hey, this is how it's going. This is the cost difference. Like if there's anything major, like I would love to see you guys again in 6 months for an update on how it's going, or 4 months or something.
Absolutely. Yeah.
That'd be great.
I was just curious about how the sort of management of the scheduling will work. Is that going to be sort of one person between the two departments?
No, it's going to, I mean, so
or-
we have done this the entire time when Randy was the
Right.
chief of both towns. And so it's basically the two of us communicating very frequently about when there are shifts to be filled.
Okay.
And we work together on that. Obviously, when he has shifts in Rockport, he tries to fill
Because
them.
you're the two sort of schedule managers.
Well, Lieutenant Geary manages our schedule, but the three of us
Okay.
all talk in unison in the group text and chat with each other about filling, vacancies. But like I said, we all fill our vacancies first. And then if there's nothing there, I usually shoot Greeley a text and say, hey, look, I got this opening. Send it down to your guys and let me know who wants it. And vice versa.
I think it sounds great.
Yep.
And thank you for
Pulling it
putting it
together.
together and bringing it to us because
Yeah.
it's
Yeah,
That's a
this
great
is, this is great to see the two towns working together at the departmental level. I do have a question about, so the assumption built into the program is that anybody who is loaned to the other town is basically on overtime. I mean, is that the assumption? Because they are getting paid overtime. I can see a patrol officer would favor working for the other town because they're going to get time and a half. Or
Only when they're filling an extra shift, right? So obviously they're going to be committed to our shifts first.
Mhm.
And then if they volunteer to fill an open shift in Rockport on their day off, they're going to get paid their overtime rate by Rockport.
Okay, I was just checking the assumption. Thank you.
Yeah, no problem.
great.
Any other questions?
I'll make a motion to approve.
Yeah.
Are we taking comments?
Yeah, please.
There's just a couple of misspellings in that, it's a legal agreement, whether you care.
Yeah, I have a cleaner copy just with, like, my name is spelled differently.
Under number 3, compensation.
Mhm.
Second line, when filing a scheduled shift, instead of
When filling.
Yeah. Yep.
And under number 9, status of officers, it says receiving town belong to compensation provided herein.
Mhm.
I don't know what that means, but I think it's a mistake, the word belong.
Yep.
So it suggests those 2 changes since it's a legal agreement.
Sure, and I'm changing the spelling of my last name too.
So I would move to approve.
I already did.
Oh, you did? Oh, I'll second. Okay.
All those in favor? Any opposed? Seeing none. Thank you very much, gentlemen.
Thank you all for
Yeah.
Thank you.
Have a good evening.
Thanks, John.
You guys too. Stay safe.
Thank you.
All right. Moving on to item 3, presentation from Friends of Camden Hills State Park Group to discuss its new organization and its mission.
Good evening. Thanks for the opportunity. My name is Paul Karoff. I live on Timbercliff Drive in Camden. And I am joined by Sunshine Hood, the manager of Camden Hills State Park. And also here is Christy Owen from Camden and Eric Brooks from Lincolnville, who also are on the board of our brand new not-for-profit. So just wanted to take the opportunity to share with you a little bit about why we decided to start this group and let you know what we have in mind. What is today Camden Hills State Park has been a place that people have visited for a long time. The Wabanaki have stories about spending time there thousands of years ago. Europeans, essentially, as soon as they arrived, started enjoying what is today the park. Here's a picture of a party that looks like they're really enjoying themselves on Maiden Cliff back in the late 1800s. In 1897, Camden resident Columbus Buswell constructed a hotel, the Summit House, on the top of Mount Batty. Access was via what is today the carriage trail off Mountain Road. Unfortunately, his enterprise was not commercially that successful. And after a few years, the building was purchased by a group of summer people, some rusticators who formed what was known as the Mount Batty Association, a private club. And they used the building for several years until it essentially fell into disrepair and eventually in 1920 burned down. Then in the 1930s, the federal government came along and started purchasing land, about 4,300 acres of land in Camden and Lincolnville, 58 tracts of it, for the purpose of creating a park. And then in 1936, in June of 36, the first members of the Civilian Conservation Corps arrived in Camden and built this camp. And between June 36 through August 1941, hundreds of what were known as CCC boys lived in these barracks. They received Spartan housing. That's what it looked like. They had 3 meals a day. They got some vocational training, and they got pay of $30 a month, $25 of which was sent to their homes, to their families, to help them through the depths of the Depression. And their labors built the bones of the park that we enjoy today. Today, the park is a magnet for visitors. I was astounded when Sunshine informed me of this particular figure. But last year, more than 200,000 people went through the gates, and that's just through the gates. Many others went through other parts of the park. So eventually, one of the things we have in mind is to prepare an economic impact analysis to get a more specific understanding of how the park actually contributes to the Camden and the Mid-Coast economy. But we know it's significant. We know that thousands of people come here now. They come here to hike on the 30 miles of well-maintained trails. They come here to climb. This is an image from the Camden Climbing Festival that occurs annually within the park. They come to trail run. This year's Magundakik Trail Festival is coming up in September. To mountain bike on designated trails, to cross-country ski and snowshoe. And they also come to camp and to bird watch and to ride horses and snowmobiles. And, you know, people drive many, many hours and fly from far off cities to enjoy this spectacular park that we're fortunate to have in our backyard. So the park benefits from the shared stewardship of the state and its host communities, Camden and Lincolnville. The park does make, as you probably know, an annual contribution to both towns based on a percentage of the revenues it collects. And now we are adding to that stewardship mix the Friends of Camden Hills State Park. In the park, there's rare flora, stands of old growth hemlock, there's spruce and pine forests, acres of them carpeted in beautiful moss. There's interesting fauna, like this young moose who was caught on camera by Eric last summer, showing good etiquette of staying on the marked trail. There are barred owls. They're one of 4 found in the park, along with great horned owls, northern saw-whet owls, snowy owls. The park boasts of quite unique geology and a fascinating history. You can wander through the park and find 18th century cellar holes and early 19th century roads that were built by pioneers. So from the first meeting of about a dozen of us, we were crowded around a way too small table in the Camden Library. Our initial organizing group has included people from all these organizations, people from Camden and Lincolnville and Hope and Rockland and other communities in the area. And we consulted with similar organizations like the Friends of Baxter State Park, Friends of Reed State Park, Friends of Acadia. We consulted with experts in nonprofit organizations just to understand the terrain and the best practices. And we also consulted with the Bureau of Park and Lands, or Lands and Park and Lands, which under whose purview, the state agency under whose purview the state parks fall. And we asked ourselves, do we really need another not-for-profit organization? There are many. But after this due diligence, after talking to a lot of people and getting incredibly enthusiastic responses, we decided that there is a place for a volunteer-run organization to support the park. So we moved forward. We settled on this mission. We drafted bylaws, we formed a board, we created a website, and in April, we incorporated as a nonprofit in Maine. And now we are actively seeking individuals interested in joining us to help us with an array of projects. And this is a list of some of the things we've had discussions about, but there are lots of hands-on activities that you can work up a sweat and build up your muscles doing, like helping Eric with trails. But there are also a lot of other things that are a little more passive and a little easier. We hope to have educational programmings in conjunction with other organizations around town. We are very interested in chronicling the history of the park, which is fascinating. We hope to offer internships to local students who can be involved in the park, especially in summers, and many other things. There is also already a lot of volunteer work going on. Last fall, volunteers helped the park staff erect 2 new Adirondack shelters on the top of Bald Rock Mountain. That photo on the left is the State Forestry Service delivering the materials for those shelters via helicopter. And by the way, this is one of the best places around to watch the sunrise over Penobscot Bay. It's spectacular up there. And now there's a place to spend the night. On the western section of the park, on Cameron Mountain, Poverty Knoll, Millerite Field, volunteers from Lincolnville Fields Project are collaborating with the park to reestablish and maintain blueberry barrens and the scenic views to the west. And I can attest that this year's harvest was amazing. Landscape architect Hans Heisted was the lead designer of the park and the visionary who led the CCC's transformation of the land into the park we know today. He's, as you probably know, the same individual who created that sod-roofed cabin on the top of Beach Hill in Rockport, Beach Nut. But some of the high-stead structures were built by the CCC 90 years ago, and they need some TLC. So one of the longer-term projects we've discussed is identified and put on our list is to make repairs to the Sagamore Picnic Shelter shown here. And there are a number of others in that category. Volunteers from Friends of Mount Batty Tower erect and illuminate the star on the top of the mountain every holiday season. There's a small army of volunteers that works with Eric on trails, building stairs, water bars, stepping stones in soggy areas, rerouting around erosion-prone areas, building and maintaining bridges. Here's a shot of the Maine Conservation Corps members who worked on some of the trails earlier this season. There's a volunteer debarking cedar logs for a bog bridge. Volunteers help repair the suspension bridge over the this bridge over the Duck Trap River in the Tanglewood section of the park, which a lot of people don't actually realize. It's a non-contiguous, but it is part of Camden Hills State Park. Doesn't compare to this bridge. This was designed by Hans Heisted and constructed by the CCC entirely without nails. There's no nails in that bridge. And some of us fantasize about replicating this one, but it'll require some more research and no doubt navigating several layers of state
Where was
bureaucracy. It was on the Sagamore section, so below on the ocean side of Springbrook. So the park is a four-season paradise that we believe is worth protecting, enhancing. It has a fascinating history, and we hope and believe a very promising future. So we are not here to ask the town for financial support, although we would gratefully accept it if it were offered. We are here just to ask that you join us as individuals. We hope that every member of the select board will join the Friends of Camden Hills State Park by making a donation in any amount, as well as everyone in the room and the millions watching on YouTube. And we hope that more local businesses that benefit from the park and from the visitors that it attracts will also sign on as partners, as some have already done, like the Norm Vega Inn and Severio Architecture and Design and First National Bank and others. So we wanted to make the board aware of what we're doing and to invite you to support this effort as individuals and in any other way that you think could help. And we're happy to answer any questions you might have. And I'll pass.
Oh, sure.
These.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Well, thank you, Paul, and thank you, Sunshine. That's a great project. I want to find out more about some of the details, like the Lincolnville Field project. But I'll ask that later.
Yeah, it's actually a Lincolnville Hills project.
Lincolnville Hills project?
Lincolnville Hills project. They're also.
Excuse me.
Up to the microphone and so everybody can hear you.
Hi there, I'm Eric. Anyhow, just slight corrections. The Lincolnville Hills Project is another nonprofit organization that formed a few years ago over in Lincolnville for the express purpose of reclaiming and maintaining those blueberry fields that were getting pretty overgrown, that Lincolnville residents and other visitors and neighbors from Camden had been enjoying for decades. So they're doing a great job over there. They're very focused on that project, and we're looking a little broader, but you know, their group will obviously be collaborating with, because anything in the park that we can support that the state may not have the capacity to take on is what we're trying to make those additional improvements.
Thank you. I can't overstress the fact that what a treasure the Camden Hill State Park is to Camden. We would not be the Camden that we are without being crowned by the Camden Hill State Park. So we deeply appreciate it, and any cooperation that the townspeople can do with the staff, just pass the word.
Yeah, great.
Well, I would be
Thank
remiss
you.
if I at least didn't say that I certainly have the Camden Hill State Park near and dear to me. It's certainly where both Heidi and I worked and how we met, working at the state park. Me as a laborer and Heidi in the booth. And, it's kind of fun that we live just a short way down the road from Camden Hill State Park now. So, it's certainly meaningful to us with Camden Hills, and I'm sure it is to many other people as well.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Wonderful. Thank you.
Yeah, thanks.
Moving on to the consent agenda. One is to request to close Pearl Street between Free and Willow and Norwood Street for a block party on September 12th from 4 p.m. to 10 p.m. It doesn't say p.m., but I imagine it's 4 p.m. to 10 p.m. Consideration of renewal of victual and lodging licenses for Camden Harbor Inn, Camden River House Hotel, Elms of Camden, and Mixed Greens, and the acceptance of a donation of a memorial bench at Lake Beach.
All looks good to me.
No issues with the consent agenda.
It took less than 5 minutes.
That's awesome.
Good timing.
Tried to read fast.
Just gained a few minutes.
Terrific. Number 5, public hearing for liquor licenses. Application of Winona's at 31 Elm Street for renewal of on-premises beer and wine license. Is there anyone here to speak to that application? Seeing none, are there any issues that we have concerning that?
Looks fine. Motion to approve.
Second.
All those in favor? Any opposed? Seeing none? That's great. Select board reports. Bobby, do you want to start? Do you have anything?
I don't have any right now.
Ken?
Yes, thank you. The Cemetery Association has been busy, in particular, Chip Late, the chair, and David Kibbe, the new member. There was a site visit of the green burial, the AOI, the area of interest for the green burial. There are 2 acres under consideration, and the Jones Associates have done 6 test pits and given a report. So that on the site walk, the site looks ideal. If you visit it, the test pits came back fair at best. A couple of standards that they're trying to meet is, so the site is not good for deep burials that are 5 or 6 feet, which is okay because green burials don't want to be deep burials. They want 3-foot burials, and the 3-foot burials are okay. The standard they have to meet is the bottom of the grave has to be 12 inches above the seasonal water level. And so some of that water level is pretty close. So Chip is going to get estimates on what it would cost to put in drainage ditches and curtain walls to make it so that we can check the boxes on the use of that area. Anyway, it is moving along. It's not a done deal yet, but it's moving along.
Super. Susan?
Nope, nothing.
Chriso?
Just that planning board is meeting this week with a pre-application for an interesting project that's a multi-unit on the first property. That's a bit of currently a parking lot sort of across the street from Rennie's. There's a house in a parking lot, so that could be a really good new project, and it should be interesting to see. Harbor Committee is looking at some of the harbor ordinance review, which might be a good spot for some of the lake issues that were raised in this evening's meeting. So
Thank you. I have nothing to report. Town managers report.
We've been busy. So I have a lot to report.
Okay.
So first for assessing, the staff are working on property inspections and getting closer to tax commitment, which usually occurs mid to late summer, usually by the end of August. The most recent town newsletter was published July 28th and is available to read on the town website and on Facebook. This edition provides a rundown of the July 21st Select Board meeting, and coverage of more town meetings is planned to help the community stay informed of not only committee and board decisions and votes, but discussions and commentary with links to video meeting coverage. Town news is also distributed by email to more than 8,000 subscribers of Camden happenings. And if you want to sign up, just send an email to newsletter@camdenmaine.gov. Planning is underway for the 40th annual Christmas by the Sea weekend, which is going to be December 4th through the 6th. It's organized by volunteers with major support from the Camden Area Business Group. The annual parade to welcome Santa Claus to town and kickoff of the festive season returns, along with a few surprises this year. Downtown businesses will be encouraged to light up downtown to celebrate 40 years, and it's not too early to begin planning your festive floats. The committee is also discussing ideas to honor Dave Jackson, who for many years led the charge to acquire, decorate, and light the holiday tree on Harbor Park. Dave unfortunately passed away in June at the age of 95, and he will be undoubtedly join us in spirit to celebrate the holidays, just as we will honor his memory and dedication to the Christmas by the Sea. Believe it or not, work is also underway on planning the 36th annual U.S. National Toboggan Championships, which will be February 5th through the 7th in support of the Camden Snow Bowl. The committee has begun meeting and planning, including plans for a locals kickoff night that week for teams to complete early team check-in. There's also a plan to promote the event earlier, including the fall chairlift rides, which occur in October at the Snow Bowl, to increase awareness and give more attention to sponsors. So there will be more information forthcoming. In the fire department, they've been working with the Parks and Rec director to develop an event emergency action plan for the Maine Gravity Series mountain bike races being held at the Snow Bowl August 28th through the 30th. And there are 2 more of those meetings scheduled before the event. The department is busy conducting its annually required equipment safety testing, including hose testing, air pack performance testing, and ground and aerial ladder testing. To help reinforce a safety mindset at work, the fire department this year will be participating in OSHA's Safe and Sound Week, which is August 9th through the 16th. And the idea behind this is simple in that they will take a step back and look at how they can make the station, the apparatus, and day-to-day operations safer. Rather than adding more classroom training, they're using the week as an opportunity to identify hazards, verify that they're doing things safely, and to come up with practical improvements. Out of the Harbor Department, the Camden Classics Cup Regatta was held on July 23rd, 24th, and 25th. It brought in many vessels of all sizes and prestige, as always, and reports are that it went well off without a hitch. Thanks to everyone who participated and made the event possible and safe. Dinghy space and capacity is holding at almost bursting at the seams status, while overnight dockage is about average for midsummer. The New York City Yacht Club came in for 2 nights and tested all factions of our harbor, and our harbor crew and community passed with brilliance, according to the harbor master, Steve Pixley, who added that we received many thanks and compliments from the Big Apple flotilla. And word is that the club's director is already planning another visit for the summer of '27. From Parks and Rec, the window wall replacement project at the Camden Snow Bowl is moving along very well, and all supports and window glass have been installed. The refurbished tennis courts have reopened. The line painting is complete, and it does include the pickleball lines, which is pretty popular, and it's great to see the community out enjoying the space. Midcoast Trails Stewardship folks have finished work on Jibe, which is the new multi-use trail at the Snow Bowl. The trail provides an easier and more environmentally sustainable route, and early feedback from mountain bikers has been very positive. The Snow Bowl will host the second of 3 enduro mountain bike races in the state's inaugural Main Gravity Race Series on August 30th. The 3-event series, which kicks off August 15th through the 16th at Sugarloaf, with the grand finale on September 19th and 20th at Mount Abram, is a space in which riders combine speed, technical skill, and endurance, racing against the clock. The overall series will name male and female champions in the age divisions ranging from 14 years old through 50 plus. The Camden Opera House Summer Series concert series kicked off this past weekend at the Snow Bowl. And up next on August 9th will be the 11-piece dance band from Camden called The Right Track. This is free and well attended and will continue for the next 3 Sundays at 4 p.m. So come one, come all, bring your own lawn seating and your picnics and enjoy some slopeside dancing. It's not too early to make your Labor Day plans and include Camden Windjammer Festival at the top of your list, which I believe Grace will be talking about. So I will actually leave that to her when she comes up. From the police department is now fully staffed, and following the recent hiring of Patrol Officer Patrick Mitchell, who I met today, who's filling the vacancy that was created by Chris Therian, who resigned and took a position with the Rockport Police Department. He's already certified as a part-time officer through the Maine Criminal Justice Academy, and he will start August 10th, and he will have to attend the academy within a year to go for his full-time certification. Speed studies have been conducted on Mechanic and Mill Streets, and a speed study is currently underway on Chestnut Street. Speed calming efforts on Mechanic Street using the speed sign trailer are showing great results so far, and the device will be moved around town as needed in problem areas. Speed calming is underway on East Fork Road again this summer after multiple complaints from residents. Chief Weaver said that his department is diligently working to help increase safety and deter traffic violations with the resources they have. He also has received an enormous amount of positive feedback with the increased foot patrol in the downtown area, which will continue as weather permits. From Public Works, on July 15th, the Maine Department of Environmental Protection conducted its annual wastewater inspection. The inspection went very well, and during the visit, we had a productive discussion with the DEP compliance officer regarding a future meeting with the division director to review the existing consent agreement. Based on the significant collection system improvements that have been completed to address the I&I, which is the infiltration and inflow, along with the fact that the town has not experienced a sanitary sewer overflow in the past 2 years, we believe there may be an opportunity to revise the agreement. The compliance officer acknowledged these improvements and indicated that they have been recognized by the department. Public Works Director Dave St. Laurent coordinated with the Maine DOT to have them cut and remove a large tree that lost a limb and blocked High Street, and we put, that was during a microburst that we had. That work is underway. I'm not sure if it's been cleaned up
It looks like
fully.
it was cleaned up when I
Okay,
came through
Good,
just
okay.
now.
We put the blast out that the road was going to be closed down, hoping it was going to reach the masses. During the week of August 3rd, paving operations will continue with milling and paving on Park Street between Union and Elm Streets, as well as on Belmont Avenue. Once those areas are complete, crews will move to Cross Street, followed by Central Street, from Cross Street to Main Street. Vortex is scheduled to return on August 24th to continue lining the sanitary pipes, which is what is helping us mitigate the I&I. Later this month, Seabright Dam will undergo necessary repairs to prevent further concrete deterioration and corrosion and to restore the integrity of the spillway surface. surface. Knowles Industrial Services, with support from Public Works, will resurface the center spillway concrete overlay to protect the exposed reinforced steel. The work is tentatively scheduled for the week of August 24th. And to make this work possible, the impoundment area above the dam will be lowered 9 inches in conjunction with doing this work at the driest time of the year.
Jody?
Yes.
Is that possible to do the Camden alert on, that's a good message to do the Camden alert
Yep.
piece on, I would think.
I will
So that
ask.
people would know.
Yep.
That aren't listening.
Yep, definitely. On July 27th, the Maine Office of Dam Safety conducted inspections on the McGonagall East and West dams as part of a statewide pilot study to evaluate and streamline the inspection process for dams with high hazard potential classification. And then, of course, work continues on the chamber building. I finally visited the chamber building. Never been in it. It is really coming along great. The Public Works crew is doing what they can when they can to make that ready to either sell or rent. We already have somebody interested in the building, so who we met with last week. Almost done. From the tax collector office, 30-day notices of property tax liens were sent out on July 22nd to property owners who have not paid their 2025 real estate taxes in full. Thus far, some payments have come in. If taxes remain unpaid, property tax liens will be filed with the Knox County Registry of Deeds on August 25th. Personal property tax reminders were mailed out on June 23rd, and work has begun on the oldest ones to find updated contract information to send requests for payment. And then coming to the end here, for upcoming elections, we are seeking more volunteers for a variety of election day positions and requesting more ballots from the state due to a potential increase of voters for the November midterms. We don't dictate what we get from the state for ballots. They tell us what we should have, and sometimes it's not enough. So we end up having to copy the ballots, which do not go through the machines. We have to hand count them. So we're trying to avoid that. Especially for the primary. Maine is still at a standstill on the voter participation history for this past June primary. We still don't have an accurate picture of voter history, and that hopefully be forthcoming from the state. And lastly, we're looking into policies of other municipalities around making marriage license appointments. We currently ask that couples coming in to fill out their marriage worksheet that they should arrive 1 hour before closing because it is time consuming. So we're definitely looking at other municipalities and how they handled it. Also possibly looking into charging for genealogy research for people because that is time consuming and we just don't have the staff to handle that. But just as a side note, there's a town in Massachusetts that charges $100 flat fee for any type of genealogy service that they ask us to do. So that's working. That's a work in progress as well. That's all I have.
Jody, do you think we should also mention as part of kind of the town manager report, or I should have mentioned it in mine, about just to let people know that the folks from Montessori did talk to us prior to the public notification that they were looking to move from the Elm Street School to their new location that they've designated. But I just at least wanted to acknowledge that they spoke to us beforehand to go over their thoughts and what the process was. And I just thought that was a nice thing to do.
Yep.
So thought I'd mention that. Thank you very much. Any other questions or comments on the town manager's report? No? Good. Thanks. Action items. Moving on to item B, act to approve personal property tax abatements.
So moved.
I'm sorry I took all that time.
How will we get it
These are
back?
pretty minor, like
Yeah.
paperwork type stuff. I mean, it's $4. It's
Do I have a second?
Yes. Second, yeah.
All those in favor? Any opposed? Seeing none? Passes 5-0 for And then item C, the acceptance of the donation of a Cedarworks playset from the Friends of Tannery Park, the town of Camden. That item will be tabled because of they may have a better place for that, and it would be, better to have something maybe more industrial strength and ready once the rest of Tannery Park gets done. Better to have something good than partial.
I will say, my granddaughter was quite taken aback by the brief appearance of a playground at the farmer's market and then its disappearance. It was very upsetting to a 3-year-old.
Yes, I can imagine
But we
that.
found ways to mitigate it. But every time we drive by, she says, the playground is gone.
Well, it's kind of
Won't
like
let you forget it either.
Yeah.
it's kind of like a movie trailer. Just wait, There'll be something better. Not too far off. There'll be something better. Finally, act to approve the public landing use on August 28 to 30 for the Camden Windjammer Festival. And with that, also, will we be doing the road or public landing closure notification for that too? Ahead of that as well, because it seemed to work better the further we are ahead of.
Yeah, and we
That
have
being-
Grace here, Grace McMullen. Grace, was I just talking to you over there? Were you sitting here the whole time?
Yeah.
I had my glasses on and I'm talking to these fine ladies in the back thinking that, I'm sorry. I need bifocals.
No, she was hiding.
Anyway.
I was over there.
Oh, and they're giving out free T-shirts.
This is a vintage,
Yeah,
but
that's an
it's
old
pretty
one.
good. Hey guys, Grace McMullen, Assistant Director over at Parks and Rec. And yeah, 2026 is shaping up to be another wonderful event. We're super excited. We have raised over $12,000 via community sponsors and vendor fees. We have about 30 artists, food vendors, maritime exhibitors that will fill the public landing for the event. We have 9 ships that'll be featured this year. It's always the kind of center point of the event. It's so cool to see them all fill up the inner harbor, all their masts in a row. We'll also have the Virginia again this year, which is the main first ship replica. Really cool. That'll be offering tours dockside the entire length of the festival, which is great because a lot of the schooners have paid guests on board. So yeah, there's so many highlights of this event, and the schedule's on our website, but things like the fire department 5K, and we have a Captain Kids Corner that features children's activities and the bounce house and pirate reenactors. We have live music, and we have the Rotary Clubs filling our bellies the whole festival with a pancake breakfast and then a lobster bake, which was a great success last year. Live music and a dance party, yacht. The model yacht races are fun, the crate race, of course, and a whole bunch more. But yeah, we're asking for the closure of the public landing itself for the setup and duration of the festival, and then for cleanup.
Grace, what's the dates again?
The dates are September 4th and 5th, which is Friday and Saturday of Labor Day weekend.
Yes, the dates are wrong on our.
On our
Yeah, I'm just
agenda.
noticing that.
Yeah.
Oh, no.
No, it's fine. Whoever did the agenda has it
Oh.
20th through the 30th, but it's,
The memo
The
hopefully
memo
has the right
correct,
one.
The memo has the correct dates.
Great.
yes.
And on that, as far as closure of the public landing from Thursday through Saturday, what time Thursday are they looking to?
We are requesting 12 a.m. on Thursday, so that's midnight, when on
Yep.
Thursday, and then we do all the setup Thursday, and then we go through midnight on Sunday. The festival ends about 5 p.m. on Sunday. Vendors then break down, and then on Saturday. Therefore, it is open to the public for the last little bit of cleanup, but most of it will be cleared out Saturday night.
So you want it closed until midnight Saturday into Sunday morning, or do you want it to be closed
To
anytime?
12
on Sun-
a.m. Sunday, September 6th.
Okay.
So at 1 a.m. on Sunday, you can go down.
That's what I was wondering. Sometimes it's
I know the
confusing
12
when
a.m.
it's,
to 1
Yeah.
midnight. Is it midnight on Saturday? Midnight, yeah.
so 12:01 Thursday morning until
11:59
9 Saturday. 11:59 p.m. Saturday or Sunday?
So moved.
No. I'm serious. Is it 11:59
Saturday.
p.m. Saturday?
Saturday
Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Because they're done Saturday. There's nothing happening on Sunday.
And I'll second.
Okay. All those in favor? Any opposed?
Yeah.
Thanks for your
Yeah.
enthusiasm,
You can do it.
Grace.
Always.
You're
To,
very
open house
enthusiastic.
Oh,
Of the
of the
chamber building.
chamber
that
building.
weekend.
I mean, you know.
Big for sale for rent sign.
Yeah. We can make it a booth.
There we go.
Thank you, guys.
Thanks, Grace.
Thank you, Grace.
Super. Well, the next part of our meeting, the last couple of years, has been done by a workshop up in the Tucker Room. Given that we didn't know what we were going to have for participants tonight, we wanted to make it as open as possible. The intent of the discussion is really twofold. One, to hear what the priorities are from the people in town who would like to speak to that. We do intend to end our meeting tonight at 9 p.m. It gives us an hour and a half. So first, we'll take notes from the public on, it's almost like how we've done public comments, but, try to keep your, comments brief. The intent is not to have a debate on the validity of the certain items, but the intent is for us to listen and hear about what those items and concerns might be for the priorities that the town should do over the next approximate 12 months. It's kind of like a brainstorm session in a way. Now, again, we don't want to dissuade people. We want to encourage people to bring their priorities. And then after that, people have said their priorities, then we will move to the select board. The select board members were each asked 3 questions about what the priorities are for organizational changes, priority issues in the town, and things they'd like to have training on. And, it's fairly brief elements. Again, we're not going to go through and make commitments tonight, but we probably will not be able to go through and prioritize the items tonight. This is a data collection time. We most likely will have a follow-up meeting when it is, soon and efficient for us to do so, to go through in these different items to see what we can agree upon as a group for those priorities for this year. So I just wanted to mention that to kind of lay the stage of, what are we going to do and what should people expect? But again, this is not a debate. It's a matter to hear what the priorities are, and then we will move to the select board portion of the conversation. So to that end, do we have people here who wanted to talk by show of hands? How many people do we have? 2? 2 folks.
Perfect.
Great. Please, just like public, non-agenda items.
Can I move this computer?
Just move the mic a little bit, maybe. Thank you.
Sure. Good evening. My name is Molly Mulhern, founder of Camden Can. I'm a Camden resident. Thank you for the opportunity to comment upon upcoming priorities for the town of Camden. What follows are suggestions from the perspective of Camden Can, the local grassroots group that has been raising issues related to our climate change world since 2023. I'm joined tonight in the room by Beatty Parker, Susan Wright, and Barbara Spalding. For those of you who do not know, Camden Can produces a biweekly newsletter with over 640 subscribers, has produced over 23 Camden Talks climate events, hosts an annual food garden tour, helped with Camden's Harbor Resilience Project, and helped Camden and Rockport secure the current energy coaching and emergency preparedness grant. I will outline our suggestions here and provide this document via email to the Select Board with hard copies given to you tonight. These priorities represent ways that Camden can build a resilient future, one where infrastructure and services continue operating through both acute shocks, such as storms or outages, and chronic stresses, such as heat, aging infrastructure, or sea level rise, and where the community can adapt and recover as conditions change over time. The following suggestions help Camden look at the big picture, exploring how systems interact, addressing multiple risks, and structuring projects to perform under a range of future conditions. The many challenges we face are interconnected, and these ideas are designed to deliver co-benefits, meeting community needs while improving systems reliability, reducing costs, and stabilizing economic activity. The U.S. Chamber of Commerce and Allstate found that every $1 invested in climate resilience saves $13 in damages, cleanup costs, and economic impact. Failing to invest costs communities up to $33 in lost future economic activity per dollar not spent. So what are these priorities? There's 6 that I'm going to go through. Number 1 is to reinstate the Energy Committee so that Camden can move toward energy independence and sound fiscal energy policy. This year alone, Camden will spend over $400,000 on electricity. This committee would explore town energy usage, battery backup solutions for upcoming energy outages and shortages, ways to reduce reliance on expensive and volatile fossil fuels, and find paths to electricity affordability for low and moderate and low-income residents. It could also help Camden acquire public EV chargers, for which there are state funds available until December 2026. It could provide the town with energy reviews for new projects, such as the building on the public landing now getting renovated. The document you'll see lists some suggestions for priorities 1 year, 3 years, 5 years. The second priority suggestion is to reinstate and reconfigure the Economic Fiscal Health Committee, the formerly known as CDAC, so that there is a year-round discussion of budget resilience and planning. There are many fiscal uncertainties that have arisen because of the ongoing climate instability. The town could begin building a sound fiscal vision covering long-term contingencies such as sewage system failures, dam failures, destruction of the public wharf via sea level rise, or repeated warm winters that don't allow the snow bowl to operate for the 60 days that it usually has built into its budgeting. A standing committee overseeing the big picture of Camden's financial health allows Camden to become proactive. For instance, it could research and apply funding to rework the public landing for sea level rise. This committee's work ensures funding Camden's future creatively and proactively. Number 3, a charter review town governance committee. Envisioning and building a different kind of Camden citizen engagement involves finding more equitable ways to get Camden voices heard. Our town charter needs review and updating to make sure we get on that path. This process could be launched by inviting Camden citizens to submit their names to become part of this governance task force. The town could then choose a group of 8 to 10 citizens by lottery, a process that many communities around the globe have effectively used to improve their governance and civic engagement. Once a year, new members could be added by lottery while cycling off some of the original members. This committee would be a standing committee designed to ensure that Camden residents have inclusive and responsive governance. This is an ongoing challenge requiring ongoing citizen engagement. Number 4, emergency coordination and planning. With the risks of wildfire, dam breaches, winter storms, and extended heat waves all rising, Camden needs to expand its emergency planning and coordinate on an ongoing basis with other towns and nonprofits on potential responses. A community preparedness summit is planned for September 25th through the State Community Resilience Partnership Grant to both Camden and Rockport, and select board members in both communities will be invited to that event. The town should be prepared to support recommendations that emerge from that event and commit to more planning, outreach, and coordination to foster preparedness. 2 more left. Number 5 is Sustainable Camden. This would either be a task force or personnel. All town employees, especially department heads, need to be familiar with Maine's Maine Won't Wait Climate Action Plan. This priority creates a group or a single person to work with department heads from Public Works to Parks and Recreation to Planning to the Harbor, brainstorming ways each department can work toward meeting our state's climate goals. This task force or single person could report back to the select board about progress and help the town create its own climate action plan, as more than 100 other towns in Maine have done. This document lists some suggestions for what those departments could each be doing in accordance to that Maine Won't Wait. Number 6, Snowbowl Sustainability Plan. While creating a 4-season operations plan is commendable, the Snowbowl hasn't yet addressed long-term environmental and fiscal sustainability. Ski resorts, if not managed well, contribute to the global warming that threatens their industry. On average, a skier contributes nearly 50 kilograms of additional CO2 emissions. Without proper oversight and management, the ski industry can harm nature by disrupting natural habitats. The Snowbowl's current plan to pave their parking lot is but one example of this potential harm. There are models for writing ski area sustainability plans, and there are important financial and climate-related reasons to do so. Failure to do so will cost Camden taxpayers dollars. See above, read fiscal vision and future planning. That's the end of the list of the 6 priorities, but there's a general note on committee and task force selection. Studies have shown that citizens want to be engaged. If citizens on a committee lack the technical information needed to address and solve a problem, invite experts to train and inform them. Don't load the committee with experts. The results will be a better informed community and a much more inclusive and productive process. I am available, as are members of Camden Can, to sit down and flesh out how to engage the community in initiatives that will strengthen Camden's capacity to flourish in the future. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Molly. Jeff, you had raised your hand earlier. Thank you for the organized list.
Jeff Scott, that was amazing. That was amazing. Great suggestions, Molly. Excellent. And from your group, too. I don't have anything so lofty prepared. I just, I really like the spreadsheet that was presented, but I don't know if other people do. I have trouble figuring out. First, I started looking at the colors and seeing if that meant anything, but I don't think it does. If it does, I'd like to know that. It seems like the list is sort of at the bottom of what we're going to do. It says pending and implemented at future, but some of the items above it in others of the colors need to be done, like the yellow ones that says, and there are actually some other ones in brown that said this needs to be completed by 2027 or something. I think it's a coding thing. I would really appreciate some kind of a summary of that says, that says, this is our punch list for, isn't it for next year?
If you'd like, I can
Do
give
you,
you a
do you know
response
it?
now.
That would be awesome.
I may
And-
not have everything that you're looking for. However, briefly, it's an Excel spreadsheet that showed the projects that were either underway last year when we had a similar document. This was really the same document from last year. Some of the headings were changed to reflect the departments are currently working on something. It was put together fairly quickly, at least to say, these are the things that we were working on then. These are the things that we know about. These are the things that at that time last year, we're going to be working on. The color has nothing to do with any fiscal responsibility. It is simply to align people to the header to the left of the document that says this particular category, that it may exist. It's a little hard because PDF and it didn't repeat the sheet one row at the top. I get it.
Yeah.
But it's a
So
PDF version
But you
of
can
an
do that.
Excel.
You can go up and down, yeah.
That's correct. It was, however, it was not done when it was put together. The intent is raw form. This is a list of things that were both from last year's meeting that we had to go over. These are the things that we kind of know about that are ongoing. And that's to give people an idea too, and also kind of to prime the pump on other ideas of what sort of things are we looking for. But we didn't want to be redundant and have people say, hey, let's go ahead and get that I&I thing done. Well, we're currently working on that. But this is to show, and it also was organized as best I could by what department is typically affected so that we could see what's the workload.
I saw that. That was really cool.
For a particular department. And so some of the categories, if I got them right, it was a good guess. It was a starting point. And just like this meeting is a starting point, but also to consider what's been done in the past. So that was it.
And it looks, that's just what it looks like. It looks like this is our punch list. This is where we are on it. I just think it would help people figuring out what next year is going to look like with the summary at the bottom so that the discussion can be, our discussions can be more clear about where we are. But it's a great reference.
It's a starting
It's a great
point.
reference point. Also, I have a question, a clarification on the process this evening. You've said that this is kind of like public comment and we're not going to have a discussion or an argument. I think you used argument.
No, I did not use the word argument. I used the word debate.
Oh, debate. Sorry. You're
And
right.
we're not going to
Debate.
we're not going to test the merit of each thing because I did not know how much time
So my
we would have to
question,
look to go over each thing. But it's a matter of hearing the ideas that people have, as well as our select board members or what the priorities are. In a following meeting, we'll go ahead and go through, maybe you were not here at the beginning. of
no,
this.
I heard this. I heard this.
We'll go ahead and go through prioritization and validation and such.
But I'm just thinking of process, isn't a workshop sort of firing it back and forth? Or do you think, because if I don't say something now, then that's it, right?
I would prefer that this would be the time that if you have priorities that are important to you, that you
Yeah.
would speak to them at this point,
All right.
like Molly did.
Yeah, which was excellent, So I'm not prepared quite as clearly as that, but I do want to underscore the John Street project would be great to keep an eye on. And I do have one other additional
I
item.
believe the John Street project is
on there.
Is on there with an update even from.
It is. It totally is. I just said I was just underscoring it. And the other item is, which I think you would be good to consider is adopting a complete streets policy or a statute. Complete streets means the way the town looks at repairing and upgrading and addressing construction projects for every street. And Dave, Public Works, does this in spades. He's absolutely wonderful. But someday Dave St. Laurent isn't going to be here, and there'll be another person coming in. And I think it would be great if the town actually codified it and said, this is the process that we go through when we look at reconstructing a street. There are bazillions of models all across the country and even in Maine. There are, as Molly pointed out, there are many examples in Maine for towns that have developed and adopted complete streets policies or statutes. And the Pathways Committee would be delighted to draft something up. In fact, we have, and Dave St. Laurent has said it looks good to me. So it'd be great to move that forward. That's it. Thanks.
Thank you.
You've got one more.
Oh, thank you very much. Might be easier to. That's okay. State your name. if you could.
Beatty Parker, Washington Street. I'm a member of Camden Can, but I also attend the Conservation Commission meetings as a visitor. And I want to agree with Jeff's mention of Dave St. Laurent, who has been doing incredible traffic calming when he can, and then incredible tree work. I hope he can keep doing it, but I'd like to see more acknowledgement of the importance of the natural part of addressing climate, which is, of course, what I've been talking about for 50 years, which is trees. They get left out as part of the planning, and Dave makes up for it, but there isn't real public attention, except for he plants trees and he gets someone to water them too, which is the miracle during the drought. And if we don't get them taken care of, it's going to be much harder as it gets hotter, and the sooner the better. So I think that the Conservation Commission is really doing a good job in thinking about these things and the emerald ash borer and the other illnesses that are coming. But I wish there was more consciousness publicly across the whole country and specifically in Camden for the kind of natural things like where you collect water so that it doesn't have to run off and it goes into the ground. And Dave has a huge problem with fixing the storm drains when we do get downpours. So anyway, I'll stop there.
Thank you, Bea.
Thanks, Beatty.
With the, seeing no other hands. Again, we did ask ourselves 3 questions. Which one? List up to 3 priorities for organization changes and or improvements for town government. List up to 3 priority issues in town you would like to address. List 3 things you would like to have additional training on. And it's the same thing, and the slide is the same slide as we used last year for that effort. Chriso, I know that the last one I think I read was yours. You had some items on there, and I know you're not feeling well, so I just didn't know if you want to go first.
No, I don't need to go first.
Go ahead. Go ahead, Chriso.
Well, I mean, I sent this to everyone. And they're not limited to these, but it's sort of interesting having read some of the others that were clearly, not surprising, a little different. But one of the things that I would like to see us doing is moving towards some kind of hybrid council versus select board, so that some of the admin stuff can get approved by the select board and doesn't have to, a lot of people were sort of overwhelmed by the ballot in June. And most of that was because we had a lot of zoning ordinance amendments and a lot of those kind of things that don't really need to be on a ballot. They get hearings, there's opportunity for feedback. And sometimes that there's been some projects that have been delayed or even canceled because it took too long to get that zoning amendment. But at the same time, I think there's a lot of interest in coming back to some kind of annual or biannual town meeting conversation. I don't think that we are in a place that going back to a full town meeting works in Camden. It's not really, it takes away opportunities for a lot of people to participate. But having that session where people come together like tonight in a bigger venue is helpful. I think our meetings could be more efficient. As much as I love hearing Jody talk, the town manager's report could be, I suggested this last year, it could be submitted in writing as part of the packet. And then if we have any questions, that's, and some of the other reports, like we don't have to go through that, but also in those lines, I would like to see us establish some and stick to some clear policies for public comment. We sort of sometimes are a little all over the place and even sometimes respond to some comments, but don't respond to other comments, which is another piece that I would like I would like to get us all on the same page about and get some guidance, maybe from Bill, on what we can respond to when, because even with emails, and it's very frustrating on both sides, and I think we've all been on the other side of sending an email to the select board and getting no response, but we're sort of told we can't respond. But sometimes people do respond, or they sort of say they respond in a sidebar. I've heard that from everyone on this committee of like, well, I did, or I've heard people standing up and saying, oh, well, one of the members did respond and I appreciated that. It's like, well, are we supposed to or not? And what is, and it's frustrating for people on that side. I have a,
Is that training, Crystal? Is that what you're saying?
it's in the training side of things. It's just like, that's sort of in the workshop thing of like, there are rules about what we can, when we can and can't say certain things, but we're not consistent about it. And even, and I suggested this last year, at least having a policy where someone who sends us a question at least gets a response to say, kind of like when you stand up here in the meeting, we say, thank you for your comment, really appreciate that. So at least they can get, know that the respect of like, we did read, the crazy anonymous things don't deserve that. But when people have like, yes, we have heard that. I have a little different take on sort of where we are with the budget committee. I think that the budget committee should really be could be less focused on the year-to-year operating budget and doing similar to what Molly said, doing some long-term forecasting, working, like what are the big goals? I find it very frustrating that it feels like for 4 months we sort of say, oh, we can't do anything because we're in the budget process. And really the town's budget, most of it, the operations are pretty set. Like they're not moving. There's some costs of, there's some inflationary adjustments. There's, but it feels like we put a lot of time and energy into that where we have staff and department heads who know their numbers. And then we sort of spend all this time saying where we could take some of those energy. And Matt Wolf on the budget committee last year created a really phenomenal model as a tool to go forward.
Crystal, Sarah did that.
Yeah, she was doing in Sarah's comments and in her report, she has some of those things. And I think that that's what the budget committee could be doing more of that work. In terms of projects, I think, we've heard this from the public, but I think we absolutely have to establish a clear plan of work for restoration at the Harbor Falls. We need to work with the library board, determine the process and the timeline, and we need to support that plan of work. The community has said they want this. The money is there. We need to move it forward, but obviously we need it to be in a clean process that is well managed, so we avoid some of the mistakes in the Snowball Trail projects. But we need to get that going. And we as the board need to be fully supportive and make that start happening fast. Along those lines, one of my big issues is the Harbor Resiliency Project. I'd love to see us working with business and residential partners in the Inner Harbor to begin implementation of the resiliency plan. We've got to do this now. Some of the things that Molly talked about are imminent. Are there options to revisit with wave attenuating floats at Steamboat Landing? Are there business property owners already working on plans to make improvements or change their properties, and how will that impact? Those are my primaries.
On the harbor resiliency plan, Chris, what's been done or talked about that you know of on the planning board committee?
There's the moratorium right now. And I know Jeremy has got some stuff in the pipeline on that, but I think it's a little bit of that piece of sort of saying, hey, let's sit down with some of these other property owners and see where they are. And, and what are all those pieces, but we've got to start working on it. And it really hasn't, Rockport is already getting grant. Rockport's project is much easier than Camden's because there are no businesses down there. There's no real infrastructure. But they are in the design process. They're already, and we've just sort of put it on the shelf and said, we have a nice resiliency project that
Is on the shelf.
and we can't wait, and especially if we're doing the work at the head of the harbor on the park, how does that, that impacts the public landing, it impacts the other side of the harbor, like all of those things. And several of the property owners are very interested and willing to sit down with us if there's support for some of the things they want to do.
Thank you. And, maybe, Jody, you got a copy of the when you sent that email with this, would you be able to send to Bill tomorrow that section that Chriso mentioned about having a clear policy procedure on what we can respond to and not? I'm just going to ask you, I might forget to do that. I've got some things and some travel coming up.
Yep.
But that might be a semi-quick thing anyway.
Yeah.
And since it doesn't cost us anything
Yeah.
to try to get it right now. To see what.
And can I add something to what Chriso said too? Just that I'm curious about, just want to know more about. I know the meeting's coming up on the 11th, which I'm totally planning on attending. But I talked to Jody today, and Jody, you were looking at somebody, I can't remember their name, for running the grant from the Camden side of things. But we're not just putting this in the hands of the library. This is I'm asking, not telling. I'm totally just trying to, and I was trying to remember the person's name you gave me today that you were looking at for the grant. I said about the August 11th meeting, and you said, oh, we're looking at so-and-so to run the grant.
Oh, not to run the grant, but Jeremy and I were working on speaking with, I can't remember his first name, Mr. Burke.
Okay.
From
Is it Stephen?
Mike Burke.
Mike Burke. Hi, Jeremy.
Hello. Yeah, Mike Burke. They're the contractor that's been working on this project and assisting on the permitting and the design side. So they have Interfluve is the firm.
Interfluve.
That has a contract with the town to do some of this work. So they're the logical entity to continue doing this. I will say it doesn't seem like there's a lot of, Jody and I are meeting with Mike on Thursday, so we'll have a little bit more, I think, some detail to provide for you shortly thereafter. I think the meeting, as I understand, on next Tuesday, and I plan on attending as well, is really focusing on the Harbor Park side of the project, because so much of that is impacted. So, and that's really where a lot of improvements or changes. I mean, that's a lot of where a lot of the impact is happening at the library on the seawall along there. And when we get storms and inundated with flooding, that's all flooded down there. So the way, if you've looked at all of the reports, a lot of the work that goes into this project is in that area of Harbor Park. And the library is the entity that manages and responsible for how the Harbor Park appears and looks. So there's the two different pieces here, right? There's the actual removal of the dam and what's happening in the area where the waterfall is and the elevation changes from sea level to the dam level. That's all not in Harbor Park, but the other stuff is all in Harbor Park. And I think next Tuesday's meeting is really focused on that Harbor Park side and what the community's vision is for that area and what kind of improvements can happen on the Harbor Park side of the project.
Okay, good. Thank you, Jeremy.
I have another question. Is that included in the grant?
Yes.
The Harbor Park part is included in the grant?
Yeah, because it's
Okay.
part of the whole, thing. And actually, if you take a step further back to what Chriso was talking about, and you can even go back what Molly was talking about, about resiliency stuff, the library itself has been working with Blake Sanborn from Richardson Associates, which was the entity, the firm that got the bid when we had put out the Harbor Resiliency Project out to bid. They were the firm that got it, and they were the ones who developed the Harbor Resiliency Plan, harbor-wide, right? That initially was going to be just on the public landing, and those storms happened, and it became a bigger scope because I think the community demanded it and wanted it. So the library, following, I would say, I bring this up because that plan is not just sitting on a shelf.
Sorry.
The library has taken that plan and is actually using it and has Blake Sanborn involved in the project on looking at the Harbor Park side of this and how it relates to the dam removal and harbor resiliency. So I think that's the kind of stuff I envision for happening on Tuesday, because it's really focused on that side of the project, as I understand. I mean, it's the library is putting it on.
Yeah. I think it's
Right.
going to be packed. I don't think there's going to be room there.
But hopefully that helped. Hopefully that answers your question.
Thank you.
Yeah, and we'll have more info on Thursday.
Molly, I see you with a hand up. Do you have more information about what the library is doing on the 11th?
Well, I just want to make a clarification about the harbor resilience plan. Can I make?
Please. Yep.
I know you guys.
We're doing okay time-wise.
Just
so thank
from
you.
the perspective of what your townspeople are looking for, the Harbor Resilience Plan, which Blake and company and Jeremy was presented, needs the town to have conversations about it, because what the Sanborn Group did was say, this is what your public landing might be able to look like. But we haven't had those conversations. And so while you're thinking about action and work and goals, the way Rockport has been doing it is, let's, a task force that,
Conversations.
yeah, that brought cross range of people in the town to those conversations that, you from where the river is, the public landing, we're renovating a building there. There's many things, and Bayview Street and the yacht club, that whole piece. So that's
Great. Thank you. Who would like to go next?
I'm good. We can let-
Do you
wanna go
have
first?
some items that you've listed out?
Yeah, sure.
You can go next.
Hang on, let me pull up. Thank you. I have sent this as an email to you folks, and as I suspected, we have independent lists, but with a great deal of overlap with what the folks have brought here tonight. That being said, let me go down through my list of priorities and things that we need to cover in the coming 12 to 15 months. Our top priority, I think, should be our town manager search. We do need to address paid parking. There will be a vote prepared for the November election on paid parking. We will need to revisit and revise the rules for 2027 rather than revise the rules with every meeting we have. Let's get it all done one time and be ready for next summer. Charter Commission, that is a big deal. That will cover a lot of ground, and much of what I have to say next can be packaged in the charter revision. I think we need to, as Molly mentioned, revitalize some of the town committees, but revitalize the town committee structure. We are very well served by knowledgeable people on committees, and it is the entry level for people to participate and contribute to the town would be at the committee level. The charter should revisit, I'm not sure how we can restore the best parts of our town meeting structure, but I think there are good things that we have lost in not having a personal town meeting. I don't know what the solution is, but it's on the list. The select board should review grant application. Grants often set the town policy and should get reviewed by the select board. We need a regular select board bylaws review. Budget. I've got a bunch of as you all know, budget is your philosophy. Budget drives the town. Budget is where your expenses are. So we should start earlier in the year. We're always crunched for time during budget time. We should set a goal heading into the budget year, either a dollar goal or a percent goal. Perhaps it would be helpful to set a baseline year, whether it's 2026 or 2023 or 2024. We need to coordinate with the schools because we need to be reminded that roughly 2/3 of the expenses, 2/3 of your tax dollar goes to the schools. Only 1/4 of your tax dollars goes to town expenses. We need to clarify the TIF funding. We're being walloped in the coming year by the bond balloon, and how can we minimize that burden? We need to allow time in the process for a select board budget review after the budget committee turns over their report. We had very little time for a close select board review last year. Well, I don't want to get down into the weeds, so I'll skip over a couple of things for the budget committee. I think it is the select board's purview to decide what to do with the bridge, which goes from the public landing to the island, but that should be on our agenda. We've mentioned the McGunticook River Dam Removal and Harbor Park Renovation Grant. And I'm not sure we explicitly said, but we were leading in the direction we definitely need to hire a project manager. It's a $6 million project, and we can't dive into a $6 million project without somebody overseeing the project, somebody with experience. And yes, I'm assuming that I won't assume that everybody knows that August 11th at 6 p.m. is when the library is hosting a talk on the dam and the harbor front, which they have denoted as a chance to ask questions and have a discussion. So it's their publicity is not limited to Harbor Park, although that is the library's expertise and their particular interest, of course. But I'm not sure whether the library is taking the lead on this project. It's a town project, it's a town grant, and it should be the town running this particular meeting. I'm so pleased that the library is doing it because it's absolutely needed. But the town may need to step up and take part in this publicity and planning. The Snow Bowl, I think we've covered the Snow Bowl. We have ongoing plans for a four-season recreation area. I'll let it go at that. It's on the list. The Sagamore Farm solar array seems to be at a stymied for the time being, but that perhaps should be on the list. We will need to discuss the Elm Street school plans for after the 2026-2027 school year. The building will revert to the town, and we need to make decisions about what to do with that. I've heard some good ideas, but yes, we'll just leave it on the list for now. Relationships with the Rockport and Lincolnville. There was an excellent meeting tonight with the chiefs from Camden and Rockport. So that's the direction that I think that's a good direction, and perhaps we can emulate that with other functions and other departments. That's it for particular events, just the ongoing, there'll be Tannery Park planning. We need to keep the select board procedures open, transparent, and welcoming. So this is a great format. This was a great evening. I'm so glad that we opened up our priorities workshop to the public, and thank you all for coming tonight. Public Works project, of course, will continue. The public safety building will have ongoing renovations, and there will be ongoing committee actions. The Historic Resources may be bringing forward a Historic Resources ordinance, and the Cemetery Association will be making progress on green burial, and that's the last item on the current list.
Thank you. Covered some of mine, so mine will be briefer.
Yeah.
Can I just ask a quick
yeah,
clarifying
good.
question?
Yeah,
I thought
please.
in your report, in your comments, Ken, when you say that you would like grant review through the board, how do you envision that? At what point in the process? Because, I mean, we have
Whatever.
two staff members who write a ton of grants, and I mean, Audra wrote a ton of grants, and and Jeremy does too. And I wouldn't want them to, so anyway, I'm just.
Yes, no, I agree. We don't want to slow the process down, but there should be some oversight by the select board.
Well, I guess where would you see that? At what stage in the I mean,
I
like,
would say early on, and then at the tag end when it's pretty much formulated, so we can get a review.
You mean kind of like what we do for the victualler licenses in a way? Seeing it after it's the grant
well, I mean,
document's been completed, or?
Jeremy came to us recently with a potential grant around Tannery Park. And sort of said,
Right.
before I go down this path, I want to,
Yeah, good example.
but are you then suggesting that we would also have final sign off on the entire grant application?
It sounds tedious, but I think it's a good idea.
All right.
Jeremy's up. I don't know if he has a.
Yeah, I think
But we don't need
I
to-
think
we
we
don't
can't
need to do-
underestimate the amount of financing
Yeah.
support that comes through the grant.
Yeah, and I know we don't want to get into
Process.
the specifics. I
Yeah.
just was kind of clarifying what Ken was
Yeah.
thinking on that.
Thank you.
Yeah.
It's good. Susan, how are you set?
So a lot of the things that I had, that you all have mentioned would have been on
What were
my
some-
list as well.
Some of the top ones that you had
Yeah,
too?
well, I think that efficiency in
Yep.
terms of the zoning, our last election in June was really stunning in terms of the length of the warrant. And a lot of new voters, I think, were so overwhelmed. And really, unless you have a vested interest in a particular zoning question, you haven't tracked it. So if there is a way, and I don't know whether we legally what that would mean, whether there'd have to be that's a legislated change that we probably would have to go to the voters to look to enact a change of that magnitude. But it really is mind-boggling, I think, to the vast majority of voters to face all those warrant articles.
As a sidebar,
Yeah.
a friend of mine's daughter, it was her first time voting, and she came out of the ballot box in tears because she felt uninformed and didn't know, and she thought all I thought I was going to vote was the primary and some candidates, and I was presented with 18 pages of stuff, and I didn't know what it was.
Right, and you feel like you want to be responsible, and yet, I think on the select board training side of things, it's really valuable for us to have in-person exposure to the departments in town, who works there, how they work, what they're doing. Wastewater is fascinating. Public Works is fascinating. All of these infrastructure aspects of the town that drive the biggest parts of our budget and operations are really critically important for us to know, especially when we're looking at budgets, but also just in order to be well informed as we're interacting with people in the public. I mean, the amount of things that I've
Are
learned
we
just from-
allowed to do that? I'm sorry. I didn't
Yeah,
interrupt you.
and and
I
I
thought
think
we
that
weren't.
if there's anything that we want to do, I mean, what I think that the protocol is, if you want to speak to an employee or a department head, to go through the town manager to do that. But it's also valuable for us as a group. We had a conversation at the public safety building. We had a great event at the wastewater treatment, and it's just
I would love to.
adds so much to our understanding about how things work.
You're talking about field trips.
Field trips are great. Yeah, field trips are great. Because so many of our decisions
Okay.
involve.
I've met more employees at the BMV than I have here.
Yeah,
You know what I
it's
mean?
true. You see people out and about. And obviously the Harbor Park reconstruction, I think we're reaching a critical point. So I would echo Chris O's urging that we really have that on track and support the implementation of that plan, because in my conversation with library trustees, there are concerns about the safety of the pathway along the edge of the harbor because it's been so undermined with water. Not to be alarmist about it, but that is ultimately where that is going. And I understand that there is a bigger picture involved, but in the short term, to really be efficient about that, I think is a key. And I'll leave it at that for now.
Okay.
But I thank you, and I thank Ken for his thoroughness on details. That's not my strong suit, so I defer to those of you who are high D type people.
Well, just like with the budget process, and he listed out, I don't know, I grabbed like 7 or 8. This is how I think. This is like a big whiteboard of my head, thinking aloud. But yeah, Ken had 7 items I think I captured on the budget process. And I think some of these things, even as you mentioned, on how to handle some of the articles and such, that will probably, I would put under the major heading of the Charter Commission as one of those items. And that's one of those things I would think, we know we're going to get there. The Charter Commission is on my list too, and I've already talked with Bill briefly about it probably 3 Wednesdays ago, because there are rules around the charter review and to how much detail. And he was thinking there's one piece that is like, oh, if you're just doing a simple one, it's a lot smaller of a process than doing a larger one. And I kind of thought that we probably will need to get prepared to do the larger one, and the right way to get the committees involved and established. And there are things that we need to do there. I don't have the details yet on that, but that's something that, it's on my list, and glad it's on really everyone's list. But thinking of those things openly about the types of things that maybe we should have in the charter, now's the time to also, it's not going to be a date when it's too late, but you might as well capture those thoughts now. And I wish I had penmanship like Susan. I don't. I have an overdue item that I didn't get done with Randy, which was the traffic ordinance work that needs to get done. It's still on my list to do, to get different updates. I kind of had to start over. I had a technical issue where the work was lost. Obviously, we had all of us had establishment of the new town manager, and with the town manager piece, I think it's good for folks to know that we solidify on August 25th is when we'll be having our meeting with the Maine Municipal Association representative concerning that on August 25. And because of doing that, maybe I can interject that in here. to get anyone's thoughts. If I know that Ken's not available, I think Chris was going to be out, but probably available remotely on the 18th. Since we're meeting on the 25th to go over that, would we have the stomach, or would it be problematic if we did not meet on the 18th?
Fine with me. It's the middle of August.
Yeah.
No, I mean,
no meeting?
Well, the meeting on the 25th is executive session.
That is correct.
Okay.
That's correct. But well, you can think about it, if there's anything that would be problematic about skipping the 18th, or if we needed to do a brief, very brief public period on the 25th, if there was something before
We'll-
going into executive session.
We'll be about an hour in executive session, so 5:30 to 6:30.
Okay.
So if there's anything pressing,
Okay.
I
do it
will be
after.
very choosy on what, if it needs to come to you guys.
Yeah,
If
that,
not,
that's,
then-
that sounds great.
Can we still get the update that you do though from the department heads? Like no matter what, even if it's just in paper and even if that's just put out in the newsletter or whatever?
Yep.
Because I really like that.
Sure.
Yeah, that'd be awesome.
Yep.
Like
So
hearing what's going
for-
on.
Yeah, for the 25th. Yeah.
So anything pressing for the 25th at 6:30?
Yes. Yeah.
Okay.
And we'll be brief. We may not have, we may,
Yeah.
well,
And no meeting on the 18th.
no meeting on the 18th. All right.
We'll resume normal
operations.
Yeah.
September.
Yeah, so it makes it quicker for that subsequent meeting,
Mhm.
but it's just,
Yeah.
if we can do that, that would be great. Regionalization was mentioned by folks with the town of Rockport, and I think that's great. I would like to see us do more of what we can do. I know Bill mentioned some concerns when I brought it up with him just in general, but I'd like to see where it's efficient. It makes sense collectively between the town of Camden and the town of Rockport or Lincolnville or whatever, so that we don't lose services. But if in fact we can do a better job and it costs less money, I'm interested in finding out how different things maybe we could better regionalize. And I don't know how to go about getting that conversation started on how to do that at a policy level, to say, hey, we're interested in, we've got this part of our organization, maybe we can help out in a particular way with something. I don't know how to get that started, but that's something that I'd
Didn't
like to
Rockport
do.
just start a committee about that?
Yeah, I think they
Well,
did.
They've appointed, they've established, but no one has like signed, like they're looking for volunteers.
Oh, okay.
So
But we might be able to do some things that are even faster at the town manager level, depending on what the stomach is for being able to work with different things, like, do they have, I don't believe, where are they with wastewater? Is that an area where there is something we can do organizationally better?
Yeah, well,
Because
it's,
of the staffing that we tend to have.
yeah, and it's sort
just
of
an
on a
example.
case-by-case basis. I mean, we tackled the wastewater a year and a half ago. I mean, and it's not optimal, the agreement that we have, and it's not permanent.
Mhm.
But we had been hearing that, oh, we can't sort that out. That's intractable but we got 6 of us in the room together and hammered out a framework that was acceptable to address some of these long-standing billing issues and metering issues and so on. And, it's not perfect, and Rockport has issues of their own that they're going to have to address, but on a case-by-case basis, we see the department heads are actively working on, cooperating, our new police chief cooperating. So I think I'm always a little skeptical of like, let's create a committee to look at that,
Right.
as opposed to, here's an opportunity, like Pathways has worked constructively with across the town lines for years and years and years. And to continue with that open-minded And I'm so grateful that the police are having this relationship renewed.
Mhm.
I think it bodes well for, the future. So that's always my feeling. It's like, let's see what comes up. And is there a way that we can collaborate with our neighbors on making something work better?
So I think we're kind of in agreement with that, but we don't know, of course, the details. But
Right.
whatever, that's a thing. Yeah, the Elm Street School decision is something that we want to, the timing on the Elm Street School could be, the timing on the Elm Street School is going to really be driven by when the Montessori school can occupy their building. And there are certain rules that apply to that. And so it's not definite that it would be August of next year when Montessori would evacuate the building. It could be August of the following year. But they also did provide to Jody and I the estimates that they got for construction that would be needed, and it's to the tune of about, it's like $1.1 million or something like that.
For their new?
For the Elm Street School, and this is probably one of the drivers for why they said, let's pick up tent stakes, because of it being $1 million renovation, starting with some foundation stuff and ending with painting and everything in between. It's a large piece, so that's something for us. Since it's a large dollar value on that end, it's something that we may not have to act on in fiscal year 26-7, but it's about being aware of that.
Well, and that's to my point of the long-term budget planning stuff of like, okay, let's start talking about that right now, because what are we going, like, let's get that forefront.
Yeah.
Of, are we selling as is? Are we finding a tenant as is? Or are we committing to? But I know we still haven't heard from Bobby. So
Yeah.
Oh, I'm sorry.
That's
I didn't
okay.
mean to-
One of the things on that though are, that I would like to see happen is, and I know this had happened in the past, where each department had sort of a reserve fund. So when it came time to buy a fire truck or a new truck, it wasn't about getting a bond and taking out a loan and paying interest. It was about, okay, let's buy the truck. And I would like to see something like that be put back in place. I know that the school did it when I had a friend who was on the school board, and then another school board stopped it. But it would be really nice to have reserve funds if the ceiling fell in at the fire station, that, you know what I mean? If something happened, one of those microbursts, something weird happened, and I get insurance and stuff, but I'm just saying, I would like to see reserve funds come back. Anyway, I would like to see an increase in our online services and investigate purchasing vehicles and equipment used. Dave St. Laurent, like, he was the picture perfect guy for that last meeting. And I know that we've approved for this brand new fire truck, but I've been talking to a lot of people, and there's fire trucks out there. And if Portland and Bangor can get used fire equipment that's perfectly safe and perfectly fine, if we can save $500,000 or $700,000 on a truck, I feel like that's something we should be looking at. We shouldn't just be spending $1.3 million or whatever it is, if we can find something that's much less expensive.
Are we already committed on that? We're committed.
We are.
100%.
Yep.
There's got to be a back out price, no?
Tell me how.
Oh, I mean, I don't know.
Yeah, no,
I'd love
there
to see the
isn't.
contract.
We've already signed all the contracts, and
We
it's in
committed.
the process.
And
So
we committed to the newer, the
and
updated.
the
to
townspeople voted to purchase
get
it.
that
So
lower.
that was already committed.
But going forward.
But going forward,
That's
like,
right.
that should be a definite first look, not a last look. I would like to see, I don't understand why our fire department has so few volunteers. I mean, believe it or not, ATN used to be a firefighter here in Camden. You couldn't throw a rock in a downtown business without hitting a firefighter. I think that bringing some of those things back could help with our overtime situations and really trying to recruit that. I've never seen really any recruitment for that. Sharing resources, trying to eliminate standard overtime, and trying to incorporate stipends into actual jobs that people already have. I know that and I'm just gonna use this as an example, but the Inner Harbor Master, when you call that phone number, you're getting the fire department. When you call the number that's listed for the Inner Harbor Master, does that mean that we're paying a firefighter to take a message for the Inner Harbor Master if they're not there? Like, I don't understand that. It just doesn't seem right to me. And I definitely think that we need to look into TIF.
Our Inner Harbor Master is
Fire-
one of our
is a
full-time
firefighter.
firefighters.
I understand that.
Okay.
But when he's not there and someone's calling
Yep.
and he can't answer that phone,
Mhm.
then someone else is answering the phone who's not getting paid for the Inner Harbor Master position. Do you know what I mean? Like, it just
Yeah,
is.
but more of an administrative thing that's happening at that point, right? Just taking message for our.
Taking a
Inner Harbor
message or
Master.
not being able to get a hold of them if it's not their cell phone. I mean,
Well, emergency is different than, a random question or something that needs to be addressed within the next 24 hours. But, that's part of the fire department. So,
And some of these things
the
are,
stipend's part of the fire department.
no,
but
no.
some of this
the-
is just like departmental management, which isn't really what we're,
That's.
Well, I'm looking at the
Well, just-
budget. I'm
well, just-
overall looking at the budget is what, and this is not just coming from me. I have sat down with groups of people and talked about this.
Keep going on your budget items.
So to try to eliminate some of the overtime, and I've been here when it's been said that, our biggest expense is employees, which I understand that. I totally get it. But I feel like we're paying so much in overtime. I don't personally understand that we're paying for someone to become a paramedic. We're paying for them to take the classes. And on top of that, we're paying them to work full-time for the fire department. When most of the time they're getting to study when they're at the fire department, I would assume. And I get paying for the class as long as there's some return on that, like you're going to stay with us for X amount of time. But we have paramedics with the ambulance force that we hire, that we pay, and we're turning all these firefighters into paramedics. And now we're paying them at a paramedic rate, I'm assuming, and not just a firefighter rate because they have more education, which I totally understand. But they're not having to be a paramedic because we hire that to be done by Northeast, right?
So
Northeast,
are you saying your item that you're interested in is about something to do with reviewing?
Just reviewing all of that, reviewing all of the positions. I'd love to see actual job descriptions for positions and how much those positions make. Like, does everyone here have a job description? I have no idea. There are. Yeah, I would love to see those job descriptions.
Well, we have the job descriptions and then those are placed on the wage scale and you can, we can send you the range of each position that's within the personnel policy.
Yeah,
So
it's in
we
the
have
personnel
that.
policy.
Yeah, I would love to see that. And I would also love to see our salaries listed just like the state of Maine lists the salaries for every employee for the state of Maine. In our website. Like, I don't think that's not private information. It's public information. And I don't think people should have to search for it. Let's see.
some of those points though are,
Yeah, we do have to be careful which ones are
departmental
personnel.
head, well, some of it's personnel, but some of that is also departmental head and town manager stuff, but it isn't actually in the purview of the board. I mean,
But I'm really,
all those employees work for their department heads and are responsible to department heads and town manager, not
so
actually
when we're doing the budget, when we're looking over the budget, I'm saying I would like to see some of those costs cut.
Yeah.
Because I just think that they're duplicating sort of in places.
And keep in mind on the ambulance stuff, Northeast does not always have EMTs in their ambulances. Several of them are just like driver and delivery, like they don't necessarily.
But they're supposed to have a paramedic. I thought that was in our contract.
Not in both. It
Okay,
depends
so,
on which ambulance.
and they pay us, but if we have to send a paramedic, my understanding is they pay us for
You're
that.
Mhm.
Yeah.
And I would love to see that like broken down, like how much did we make from the paramedics that help take care of that salary?
Yep.
Okay, so this might sound a little crazy, but I think there should be recognition for employees who come up with ideas for improving processes and saving money. like significant recognition, not just, in many jobs that I've had, there's been a program where if you come up with a cost savings or an idea that significantly saves money or efficiencies, where you get, in the background of that, you get a reward for that. And whether that's monetary or it's a gift card to downtown or whatever, but to do something to try to get people in the departments more involved with the processes. You know what I mean? Like manager. Let's see. I don't know. I've given you guys everything, but I think TIF definitely needs to be looked at because my understanding is we have had situations where we're using it in places that we definitely shouldn't be.
Yeah, I kind of noted that on mine as a piece of education. It's always been a thing we've gone over a little bit with at the budget committee meetings is education on TIF funding. I don't know if MMA has something else on that too, so we could kind of hear similar information from a different source that might be.
I had
that.
one more thing.
Sure, go ahead.
Just with Interfluve being the representative on the grant for Camden, I'm not sure because they're already a contractor, if they're the ones that we want representing the town. And that's just a thought that I just had when all of this came out.
Okay.
That Mike Burke, when you
I
said
don't know
you
if
were-
there's a conflict of interest there, but we
Yeah,
can
that's what
certainly-
I was thinking.
That's what we can ask. We can ask Bill about if there's any conflict of interest there. Yeah, the other, I think you mentioned the Tannery Park planning. Jeremy Martin, you're still here.
I am.
Awesome. That was just my little pause to allow you to take yourself off mute. But I was just curious on, I know a few of us have talked about the Tannery Park planning. What's going to be kind of next to, what do you know that's on the docket for its initial greening, I'll call it?
Yeah, so that application that I submitted to the state for technical assistance, that was submitted. I reached out to them last week to see when, I was anticipating this question coming up, to see when we would hear whether or not we were successful in getting that assistance. They are still reviewing the engineers that submitted to the state's RFP to provide this technical assistance to communities. So they anticipate within the next month, we'll find that out, Chris, whether or not we were successful. I think I submitted a pretty good proposal on why I think they're looking for different types of projects around the state. And this is the only one that I think was submitted that dealt with like a brownfield site, not adjacent to the coast or the ocean or a harbor, and was public recreation involved, public green space, used by multiple groups, had the support of a huge lot of groups. So I think we'll be successful. And then once we have that done, I don't know how long that will take. I have to look back. I think it was about 3 months of work on that consultant's time. It may not be enough time to plan for next budget, since we start working on that like December or so, if I recall. So we'll see. But that's the first step right there is hopefully I'm confident we're going to get that grant, and that'll give us a good springboard to implementing what they're proposing, because they're going to come up with design drawings to green that space. Hopefully that helps. Did I answer your question, Chris? I think that's where we are right now, and I think we should take advantage of free technical assistance from the state if they're providing it.
And then while you're here, then the other item from what we heard during the last meeting is also about Curtis Island and getting the lighthouse restored. What Mike was talking about last week.
So Curtis Island, the key piece there is access, and I think we're going to be bringing a memorandum to you folks. I'm hoping next month or next week, and then there's the grant opening just opened this week for the grant application that I was unsuccessful for last year. That opened this week. It's due, I think, October 15th. And I'm going to be submitting that proposal. That's like a $500,000 grant request. Curtis Island Foundation will come up with, I think Mike said, what was it, 187,000, I believe, total. And that would go to restoration of the light tower itself. And that's the first place to start, because if you go back to that historic building document that was done that the town and the foundation paid for together, that really focused on the light tower, had some significant issues that needed to be addressed. So that's the focus initially. And then we'll probably follow up and continue to apply for grants that are out there for restoration of the remainder of the buildings. But starting with the light tower is a priority, especially that metal roof, which is starting to corrode. And then you saw in some of the pictures that Mike shared, some of the repointing that needs to happen on the brick itself.
Are there?
I'm hopeful we'll be successful again on that one because we applied in the first round. And I know what their issues were with the application in the first round, and they weren't really, I think it was their issue, not our issue. They didn't understand what we were doing or what we were applying for in certain pieces. So I'm confident we're going to get it this time. Fingers crossed.
Are there any issues as far as getting permits that we need? The stairs were an issue last week.
Yeah, so the stair issue, the permitting for the stairs, the state will allow you, so we're going to have a 4-foot stair set going down. There's I think it's about maybe less than 3 feet right now. If I recall, maybe even less than that. So you can go up to 4-foot wide stair set without a full NERPA permit, as long as you're ending above the mean high water line. And your impact down on towards the resource is no wider than that 4 feet, though they said we would give you 6 inches to a foot on either side, just because how it lands on the bottom, on the shore. But we've got to stay above mean high tide, which I think the plan is, and it would just be a permit by rule. That is something that I would submit an application for. I can do that, a permit by rule to the DEP. And there's a 30-day period that you have to submit, and you notify abutters. Not sure there's any butters in this case. And then you wait 30 days. And once that 30 days is up, the permits, it's a permit by rule. So it's a permit by right in essence. And then, so once that 30 days happens, then the permit's valid. And then we are working with the foundation. Jeff and I just reviewed the draft memorandum again yesterday. So we're working on that to get that done. And my hope is that memorandum can be broad enough that it would cover not only the stairs like we had talked about, but the grant applications for restoration work on the buildings, because that's just happening. I'm going to be starting that application. I'm actually going to Augusta to meet with the state on that next Friday, the 14th, to meet on the application process. They actually have an open house meeting workshop with applicants that are going to apply. So it's best to show my face there. And since that's starting right away, we might as well include that in that memorandum of understanding with the foundation. And that's what Mike is really seeking anyway too. So I think that's the best way to handle that.
Okay.
It's a little more of the weeds than we need.
Yeah. Holy cow. Thank you very much, Jeremy, on that
Sure.
for the update. Yeah, I guess you were prepared for the question.
I try to be prepared all the time.
Thank you very much, Jeremy.
Yeah, no problem.
So at this point, we've stated at least and we've heard what other folks, our colleagues, have for the priority list. Would you be okay with, at this point, I can take my cryptic notes that I have to consolidate them, as well as with your writing, as well as with what people have said here, to consolidate them, kind of like what we did last time, where we had the little presentation. Yeah, mine was blank last year. Anyway, and be able to kind of encapsulate that for further discussion.
Sure.
And prioritization. Is that okay?
Sounds great.
And Jody, on the multicolored Excel spreadsheet that we have, is there anything that we should update that? We'll have time. We've got at least a couple of weeks, maybe even 3, to update that so it reflects accurately.
It's about 97% accurate.
Okay,
There's
well,
a few
that's
things
pretty
I'll
good.
probably have to add in. It was sort of a little bit late in the game for me. So
That's fine. Yeah.
yeah,
It was
I
late
can.
Friday. I gave like 5
Yeah, and
o'clock
I
on
had a
Friday.
rough day Friday, so I can go back over this with the department heads. I know Jeremy had some things he wanted to add. I know
Yeah.
there's some things that I just straight up see not on here anyway,
Right.
which should be. So yeah.
Yeah,
I would
that would be
sort
great.
of follow from Jeff's comments that I know it was hastily thrown. If we could
Yeah.
organize it a little more comprehensive, it would be helpful to.
Well, yeah, I think
Because
it-
I feel like there's some things that aren't really in alignment with different like.
Yeah, I was my best guess.
Yeah, I know. So I'm saying if we're revisiting it, making
Yeah.
it a little more user friendly would be.
Well, Jody will have time, and
Your document, Chris. You
I
should.
know, but Jody will have time to go ahead and get the updates. Then I can go ahead and work on the formatting and the printing to PDF.
Hey, Chris?
Yes.
Would it be helpful if I summarize what Sarah proposed? This is my budget committee.
On the budget thing? Yeah. That is
It's like
the,
a one paragraph thing that said, this is what the thinking was for the multi-year thinking.
yeah.
You want me to get that to you guys?
That would be great too. Again, but people maybe didn't hear Jeff Scott recommending that there was a document that Sarah put together at the tail end of the budget committee to say there are like 8 points or so. And I'd like to let's gather that information and put it together. That way it can be in the one source. But
I'll send it to all of you.
yeah, if you have a few minutes in your department meeting to go through and say, oh, did Chris get this right, or is he out to lunch? What things need to be moved or moved? That would be great. We want to make sure that when we have our other list of priorities and the list of work that they're already doing, that we're not overwhelmed by design.
Do you want to schedule your next, excuse me, your next goal setting meeting or your?
Let's see where we are on the 25th.
Okay.
And otherwise, I would prefer, if we could, to do that in September.
Okay.
Again, unless there is something Herculean that comes up that we need to handle, it would be nice if we could get that together for a September meeting.
Okay.
It might not be good to be the first one in September, given that we're skipping August 18 and August 25. We'll just have other topics that need to be handled so we don't slow some processes down and the other session. So it probably will be the one in the teens of September, if that's when that next meeting.
I think I am not here for that meeting, and I'm actually flying that day.
Oh, you are? Okay. Well, that's
We'll
unfortunate.
take your,
Well, maybe we'll have to go with the first one. What about the first one in September?
Which is the first.
Is it?
Hold on, sorry, yes,
don't-
yes.
Is it really?
Mm-hmm.
No, the first is a holiday. It's the following week. It's the 8th is the next select board meeting.
Where are you then? September 8th?
Are you sure about that?
That's
The
what I have
7th's
on
the
the
holiday.
municipal.
Labor Day weekend is the 5th, 6th.
Yeah,
Well, the
7th.
municipal calendar has September 8th as the next select board meeting.
No, I'm not. I'm gone that day. I thought it was on the 1st.
So you're not here on the 8th?
Yeah.
Are you
But
here?
if that means then that we are meeting on the 22nd rather than the 15th,
Yes.
then
Right.
I'll be here on the 22nd.
All right. September 22nd is when it is. Plenty of time to update Excel and for me to collect these thoughts into a contiguous document. So the next item up for bid is who would like to,
Motion to adjourn?
motion to adjourn?
Oh, sorry.
Yes.
Thank you so much for the session and the opportunity for folks to weigh in. I thought Molly did an outstanding job with her suggestions. I was really appreciative of that. I appreciate Ken pointing out that we need to move forward in the town being involved in the planning for the Harbor Park work, and that relates to dam and everything else. There was reference made by Ken about the public engagement session that the library is hosting, and that's on September 11th. And
No, it's August 11th.
Sorry, August 11th, next week. Thank you. And I think that could use a little bit more emphasis for all the dozen people that might be listening right now, because this has been an issue that has been of great interest to everybody. So there's a public engagement session for the Harbor Park Revitalization and Dam Removal Project that the library is hosting on August 11th from 6 to 8 p.m. And the evening is designed with 4 purposes in mind: learn about the project's history and the work completed to date, see the current design and understand what it includes, ask questions and hear answers directly from the technical team and others involved, share your thoughts. This is a public outreach session. Share your thoughts, suggestions, and preferences as the design is finalized. I'm reading this off of our
Good,
town
thank you. We've talked about
entry.
this.
So I thank you. I just wanted to give extra emphasis to that because
Okay, thank you.
it's been a matter of great interest to the town, and it should be highlighted.
I don't think if they're going to be short of attendance.
Very good. So we had a motion. Did we have a second?
Yeah.
Yes.
All those in favor of adjourning? All right.
Do we have anything to sign?
Nobody
Yes,
opposed.
there's a-
You-
Yes,
Yeah.
please.
You got the abatements, the licenses?
And they split